Today, I want to talk about Jeffrey Epstein. And the reason why is because recently a ton of information has come out that I guess I can best explain as the conspiracy theorists were correct all along. And the thing about this is it was funny because I think the first one that came out was the Pizzagate stuff, where there were tons of mentions about pizza in very strange ways. And so my immediate thought was, mostly because I was kind of in the camp of wanting to ridicule these people, but if you have anyone in your life who was on board with the Pizzagate thing, you might want to issue them an apology. So what I want to do in this video is I have compiled a list of, I want to call it the most insane conspiracy theories that I think have been at least given some amount of viability because of the exposure from the Epstein files. So I'm going to hop into them. There are a bunch of them, so buckle up because this is a wild ride I'm about to take you on, and let's just get straight into it. Hi there, pardon the interruption. I just wanted to make a real quick ask that if you are watching my content and you appreciate it, if you could please drop me a subscription. As you can see, through the life of my channel, 95% of the people that watch my content are not subscribed. So if you are watching and you find yourself enjoying the content, I would ask that you drop a subscription. Just, again, a really quick PSA, it would mean a lot to me. It really does help my channel grow, and it allows me to make this something that I can do for a living. So, just wanted to take a real quick interruption, and I'll return you back to my video. Thank you so much, and I hope you enjoy. So, number one, as I said, Pizzagate. Right out the gate, if you will. And what I did for each of these was basically I just procured a couple of either the emails or photos or sometimes both to kind of illustrate how insane these things are. And they're pretty much undisputable that something was going on here. So, as I said, number one, Pizzagate. Because this was, I think, the first one that came out and made me raise my eyebrow. And I was like, I feel like something's going on here. So, and I'll read them as well. So if you're just listening, you don't need to have the visuals up. But if you would like to look at them as well, I have put them on the screen for your viewing pleasure. So Roy and Stephanie Hodges and Jeffrey Epstein, they're emailing back and forth. First email, I wanted to let you know the crew really appreciated the pizza today. Thank you for letting us do that. Do what? I have never eaten pizza and then said, letting us do that. That's a very strange change between eating and, yeah, just strange. This, and then the next email in this is better than a Chinese cookie. See attached. I'm assuming there was a photo here. Let's go for pizza and grape soda again. No one else can understand. Go no. Once again, the qualification of no one else can understand. I love pizza. I have drank grape soda in the past, speaking purely on food terms, and I think a lot of other people would understand if we were actually talking about pizza and grape soda. On to the next one. And I think this is probably the most damning one out of all of them, because the other one's like, yeah, okay, they're strange, but this one just is completely off the rails. Chris Douglas wrote, head count, who all is in the Austin office today who is going to want pizza? Okay, that's fine. We only have one slice. I'm not sure that that's how pizza comes, but okay. we need to know how thinly to slice it. I think you would just, or if we were actually talking about pizza, I think we would just order another pizza here. I don't think we would be talking about how thinly to slice a single piece of pizza. So I don't think they're talking about pizza. And then a reply from Robin Blackburn back to Chris Douglas. Does the pizza offer include those of us who can't make it to the meeting because we're out here editing? Because if so, count me in. And then a response to that one. Are you sure this might not be a Jim Jones Kool-Aid event? And then, please eat my slice. So, again, I don't know how you can really justify this as anything else than not pizza. I will let you come to your own conclusion about what you think that means. Traditionally, what has been seen is that pizza stands for girls, basically young underage girls. So, again, you can come to your own conclusion. I'm just telling you what the claim is traditionally, and then provide you with a few emails that seem a little bit strange. So let's continue down this path. And the next thing I wanted to bring back is actually circling back. So these ones were not in this actual tranche of emails that we got, but seeing those emails makes these ones a little bit more eyebrow raising. And these were about hot dogs and pizza as well. And these were essentially Hillary Clinton, Barack Obama, Podesta. So this is like the Podesta emails. Nancy Pelosi seems in the loop here. An Affleck B. So it sounds like that might be Ben Affleck. Anyway, we'll go to the first email. I think Obama spent about $65,000 of the taxpayers' money flying in pizza/dogs from Chicago for a private party at the White House not long ago. Assume we are using the same channels? I cannot imagine how you would spend $65,000 on pizza and dogs. If someone could explain that to me, that would be great. To celebrate all you hot dogs out there, Eric, you can participate as well. So just, and again, another email in this chain. So, yes, once again, very strange messaging here. I cannot fathom any sort of way that $65,000 would be actually pizza and hot dogs. Then the next one, and this is the one where I was listing off all of the people, where I'm saying Barack Obama, Podesta, Ben Affleck, Nancy Pelosi, and Hillary is the one who sent this email. Dear Barack, when we began the pizza arrangement, I thought we were going to be more careful than this. Operating from the White House, so once again, referencing the $65,000 private party at the White House, operating from the White House is not what I originally had in mind. Remember that the hot dogs can come, but if you make a spectacle out of it, that will be our downfall. Please know that I am speaking as a friend. You are the president, so this was during Obama's presidency, just in case you were confused or you might try and pass it off that was a different Barack Obama. You are the president and can do as you like. But I have to say, I think it would be wiser to restrict this activity to our predetermined locations. Let me know what everyone thinks. We can vote on it if you like. Thanks, Hillary. Once again, I'm not sure why the hot dogs can come and why it would be a spectacle if they were just having a party with a bunch of hot dogs and slices of pizza. Again, we're not talking about hot dogs and pizza here. And as I mentioned with the pizza being underage girls, hot dogs are underage boys, which also makes it very interesting because of the claims. If you remember when Obama's chef, I believe it was, drowned in, I think it was like 2 feet of water, even though he was an accomplished swimmer while he was out surfing or something, like a little bit strange. So this, again, seems like there's a few points on a graph that seem to be making a line here. And keeping on the topic of eating and children, we have the mutilation and eating of children. And there are quite a few eyebrow-raising things going on here. So there's an email sent to Jeffrey Epstein. LOL, I don't know if cream cheese and baby are on the same level. It's okay, there is still enough time today. I am trying to schedule priming for 5:30. Fuel explosion 9:45. Will bring new engine startup video. So I'm not sure why he is comparing cream cheese and baby. There are millions, and this is Jeffrey Epstein replying, there are millions of babies. Very little good vegetable cream cheese. So they're openly joking through their emails about cream cheese and babies and consuming both of them. And they're both, it seems like they've both partaken in the consumption of babies by these messages. That's, I mean, it's literally so explicit. I'm not sure how you can read that in any other way. And then we have this email, and it was an interview of a purported Epstein victim. I'd like to add a few other points disclosed by the purported victim. While on this yacht, he witnessed African American males having relations with white blonde females, all of whom were bleeding during intercourse. He was a victim of a type of ritualistic sacrifice in which his feet were cut with a scimitar but left no scarring. On the yacht, he witnessed babies being dismembered, their intestines removed, and individuals eating the feces from these intestines. He was also diddled by George Bush I. Victim disclosed he was escorted to the FBI building by Michael Moore, who is the creator of, at this point in time, True Pundit, described by multiple online sources as a conspiracy-driven news website that attempts to paint the FBI in a bad light. Moore has a criminal record as a result of an FBI investigation. It's copyright infringement. Let me know if you want to discuss the former FBI agent that called this into the head office. So sounds like this is some pretty wild stuff going on here. Thanks, blank, taking out the person's name, who are the people having the discussion. I didn't realize Bush diddled him too. Okay, so he's done this to multiple people, and this is Bush 1, right? This is Herbert Walker. This is not George W. He has more, and then the response to that, he has more to tell us too, he said. So, as if that wasn't enough, there's more that was going on. It just is completely insane to me. And then, just in case you think this is crazy, there have been many videos that have come out that have essentially claimed this exact thing has been going on. And a lot of people just kind of pushed it off and said, oh yeah, it's nothing. But let me play a few of them here for you really quick. All right, and then here's clip number 1. This lady basically came out of an Epstein party and was saying that they were eating children. They ate humans. Disgusting. I wasn't aware of anything. I mean, about the murders, yes. But that they had eaten humans. Humans. They smell like human flesh. Then there's this photo where you can see there's 2 turkeys, turkeys. And then what is clearly a human leg, some hair, it has been redacted. That's what it looks like to me. Then there's this one from Roseanne.
You know they eat babies. That is not bullshit. It's true.
So it's not just the dogs and the cats, not just the pets.
It's not just the dogs and the cats. They're full-on vampires. And everybody still thinks I'm crazy, but I'm not crazy. They're full-on vampires. They love the taste of human flesh and they drink human blood. They do, Tucker. Stop staring at me like that.
You're freaking me out, man.
And it seems like she's probably vindicated there now. And there are many more clips. I just do not have the time to go through all of them, but you can search any amount of, including children who were exposed to mutilation. You can find an insane amount of videos that cover just this topic alone. But we'll continue. And a very interesting thing that you will find is an obsession with beef jerky. If you search jerky, there are 380 results for it. And I have highlighted some of the more eyebrow-raising ones here. And it seems like a lot of it is between Karina, who was his last ex-girlfriend or girlfriend or whatever, and then also Steve Hansen. Jeff, old saying, dog ate my homework. Well, my dog ate the beef jerky. I was looking for the beef jerky as I knew it was in my suitcase, and then thought maybe I left it at the beach, only to find the small plastic bag near my dog's bed. Hence, no beef jerky. I'll email Francis to make us some more, as I need 6 to 8 ounces to send to the lab, and I'll forward Francis the info to send to the lab directly. I'll try you later today. Why would you need to send it to a lab? First of all, that's very strange, and he says it twice. But then also, and it's further down or further up, I guess, in the email. But then Jeffrey Epstein gets very upset about this. And, oh, by the way, why does a specific person need to make the beef jerky when beef jerky, all types of beef jerky, are available literally anywhere? You can have high quality. Go out and buy some Tillamook. You can buy... So I don't really believe, and especially since there are 380 results for it, I'm not exactly certain that they're talking about beef jerky. Next one. Hi, blank. And this is from Karina. There is 1 bag of beef jerky in the fridge at 71st. Please get it. And also, blank has more at her place. Please get it from her as well and bring it all with you. Suppose it needs to be in a cold insulated bag, right? And there are multiple mentions of keeping it on ice, keeping it in a cold insulated bag, keeping it... I don't know how much beef jerky you've ever eaten in your life, but I have never once put beef jerky on any sort of in the refrigerator, in the freezer, it doesn't need... The entire point of beef jerky, actual beef jerky, is it's dried and you just eat it as is. So, once again, very strange now that they need to keep the beef beef jerky in a cold, insulated bag. Next one. Francis has time to come by tomorrow to show me how to make it. And again, this is the same Francis that was mentioned previously. So I'm not sure why there's like one or two people who are the only ones who know how to make beef jerky, because that seems like something you could just Google and look up a recipe for, unless they're not talking about beef jerky. But I digress. Francis has time to come by tomorrow to show me how to make it. Jerky class, anyone? He will also bring you a taste of his new jerky recipe from the restaurant and sends a warm hello. He is working at a restaurant called Cannibal and Cooks. And wait for it, beef jerky and steak. He has time at 3 p.m. tomorrow if this is okay with you. And some people are trying to claim that there actually is a restaurant called that, but why would you wait for it? Beef jerky and steak. Very strange. Again, I'm not sure how you can possibly explain this. Like, again, why is there one person who makes it so much better than anyone else? Why is Cannibal and Cooks specializing in beef jerky and steak? Which steak is kind of in the same boat here. It's not quite as flagrant as beef jerky and pizza and hot dogs, but there are some weird mentions, including the next little snippet that I pulled out. As per our Sous Vide class, I will send an email explaining what this steak business means. Francis. So yes, please tell me what this steak business means. How do we not have the follow-up email from that? I would be really interested to see exactly what this steak business means. Next email. Jojo is here and will walk the jerky over to Jeffrey. I'm not sure why the jerky requires walking over. Please, you just go on your own to Leon's office. Melanie is Leon's assistant. I will alert Melanie that you are coming to see Jeffrey. Reply back, please. And just once again, any one of these emails are a little bit strange, but when you put them all together, it is almost unexplainable. And this one is incredibly disturbing. There is a lady named Lena Cronqvist, and that's this lady down here pictured. She has been to Jeffrey Epstein's island many times. And no one really put this together, but she is an artist. And these are her works of art. And if you are just listening, it is girls who look strangely like the artist participating in what can only be described as the mutilation of small babies. You can see one in a bowl here. It looks like she's reaching in. Again, and with the haircut and the facial features, looks a lot like our artist. So I don't know if it's being prepared. It doesn't look to have any hands, and it may be screaming or crying or something. Then you have two girls, and one of the girls seems to be persistent, and at least you can see the face. Seems to be persistent in 3 out of 4, but then there's 2 girls as well doing a similar operation here. But chopping the legs and feet off of what appear to be babies. In the next one, you get a closer up vision. I'm kind of blocking it, but you can see here chopping the foot off a baby very close up, and then you look right next to it, and the feet are off. There's blood puddles underneath in multiple photos. And then the last photo with our artist here, and chopping what looks like the hands off of babies. So, kind of insane. I'm not sure why you would have one photo about this, but yet, let alone 4, all depicting the same general theme. And the 2 of them, I almost had to look to make sure it wasn't just one zoomed in of the other. She literally was drawing, or painting, I guess, in this instance, pretty much the exact same photo almost, or at least the same content. But it's actually 2 different photos because the incision on the leg is actually in different places. But like the same white outfits, the same 2 babies. The other one is wearing blue and has boots, same thing. So just incredibly strange. I'm not sure how you explain any of this. And given what I just talked about, kind of, again, fits a general theme. I'm seeing a pattern emerge here. The next one, Jeffrey Epstein creating Bitcoin. So, Joy Ito. As Bitcoin and digital currencies have started to become an important trend, the Media Lab has launched an initiative in the space. I wrote a blog post on why I think Bitcoin/blockchain are like the internet. The way that Bitcoin is organized currently is that there are 5 core developers and around 100 contributors to the core code. The 5 core developers are like Linus Torvalds of Linux. They decide what changes are made to the core code. One of the 5 is the lead developer, Vladimir, and one is the chief scientist, Gavin. Gavin, Vladimir, and Corey, an important contributing developer, were being paid out of a non-profit organization called the Bitcoin Foundation. A few weeks ago, it blew up when one of the board members declared the foundation bankrupt. And then they link the article. Many organizations scrambled to step into the vacuum created by the foundation and take control of the developers. We moved quickly, talking to all of the various stakeholders, and the 3 developers decided to join the Media Lab. This is a big win for us. And this is from Joichi Ito again. FYI used gift funds to underwrite this, which allowed us to move quickly and win this round. Thanks. Then Jeffrey Epstein replies, Gavin is clever. So basically, Jeffrey Epstein was behind the funding of Bitcoin. And once again, I have another fun little video for us to watch.
If you knew who was really behind Bitcoin, you would run as fast as you fucking could to sell it. I know. 100%. If you knew who owned Bitcoin or who started Bitcoin, and you had Bitcoin, you couldn't sleep at night. I know. 100%. And when the real founder of Bitcoin comes out, it is my humble opinion, and there's nothing humble about me, Bitcoin will go to fucking 0.
I mean, kind of seems like that might be a pretty accurate statement. Very interesting. So, and if you saw after this came out, it tanked down. It basically lost like half of its value. So, yes, absolutely, it is insane. It was used as money laundering for them. And so, it's the facts are stranger than you could even possibly imagine. Because who would have guessed that Jeffrey Epstein and co. were basically behind this? Next one. something that my wife actually keyed me into a while ago, and I just kind of wrote it off because I was like, this is patently insane. But seems like it's been confirmed now. This was a couple of years ago. But if you will remember, there were cabinets and all sorts of stuff on Wayfair that were selling for thousands or tens of thousands of dollars. And people were like, what is going on here? And there was speculation that essentially what it was people were being sold on Wayfair. Like people were abducted and then sold on Wayfair. And the first piece of evidence we have is Karina, so again, Jeffrey Epstein's significant other, sending the invoice, receipt for your payment to Wayfair. So they purchased some sort of, and they kind of redact it all out, so you can't even tell, but an unnamed item for basically $8,500. And you could say, okay, this doesn't really prove anything. Well, if it was just a very nice piece of furniture, right? Because it's a big island, $100 million island. The guy has billions of dollars. It could be anything, right? Until you look at the trend of all the people who are going missing and the names of some of these items. And there was something where, as well, you could enter in the code onto any web browser and it would match and pull up photos of the missing person. So, and just to go over some of these, because they're very unique names, Samia Moomin. There's a Samia 5-shelf storage cabinet for $12,899.99. There's a Yaritza Castro. There's a Yaritza storage cabinet for $13,799.99. There is Annabelle Wilson. Then there's a Annabelle 5-shelf storage cabinet for $10,899.99. There is a Kyla Coleman. There's a Kyla 5-shelf storage cabinet for $12,099.99. Then there are pillows for $10,000. So, again, you can draw your own conclusions, but this seems kind of insane. There are all these people, again, with extremely unique names, and then it's the same or very similar cabinet. It's always the, storage cabinet by WFX utility, and it's reposted over and over. And the same pillow, right? Very strange. Very, very strange. Again, if you can explain this in any other way, I'd love to hear how. But this seems to pretty much confirm the whole Wayfair selling missing children or abducted children or whatever. The next fun one, and I think this one has been gaining some traction with Tucker's multi-part documentary, but 9/11 was planned. And the damning thing about it is an Ed Epstein offering Ghislaine Maxwell any interest in being on the Shadow Commission on 9/11. The membership list is secret. And then he has a rough cut. Thanks for the invite. Unfortunately, I can't be on the Shadow Commission at 7:02 p.m. Blah, blah, blah. And then, I think a lot of people saw when the whole raid on Jeffrey Epstein's New York penthouse happened. There was a painting of Bill Clinton in the blue Monica Lewinsky dress. And that one became pretty popular because reasons. But a lesser known painting that was also in his penthouse was of George Bush sitting in the Oval Office with two Jenga towers in front of him that are knocked down and two paper airplanes. One is on the ground and the other one George Bush is holding in his hand. The implication therein, once again, you can come to your own conclusion if you want, but the way I view it is he did it, or he knew about it at the very least, and did nothing to stop it. And this is a very deep rabbit hole you can go down, but same thing with Israel and the Mossad, that they knew and they did not warn us. And by the way, the group that actually did it, Bin Laden and ISIS and all that, we actually funded them. The United States funded them. So it could be some sort of commentary on that where, okay, we funded them and the only reason they were able to do this is because it was the United States who propped them up to effectuate regime change, and then it came back to bite us in the ass. That could be one explanation for it. Or they allowed it to happen, and I would highly suggest going to watch Tucker's recent multi-part documentary. It's all on YouTube. But there were a lot of weird things that happened, and there is speculation. I'm not saying I believe it one way or another, but there was a shadow council commission, that it was a false flag that was allowed to happen, / may have even been propped up by the US or Mossad or whoever, to go in and basically effectuate regime change on one of the countries near Israel that was threatening their safety in the region. So, again, I'll let you come to your own conclusions, but I'm just laying out what the argument is and what is one possibility. Again, I laid out we propped them up, and so it wasn't actually, we didn't have anything to do with it. But there also is an explanation that directly is that we were implicated. And this picture, questionable. And the Shadow Commission. And so, just very interesting. Then we have designer babies and human cloning. First email. Attached is the doc you requested. It's the use of funds spreadsheet for the designer baby and human cloning company. Next steps. I am happy to hop on another call, or I could take a trip to meet you in person. Okay, I am back in the US on late Tuesday, back in action on Wednesday. And then a reply back to Jeffrey Epstein. I am back, met Simon Black in Lithuania. Let's schedule a call. I can discuss any questions or concerns you may have. And then going hand in hand with that, another email from Brian. Attached is the doc you requested. It is the use of funds spreadsheet for the designer baby and human cloning company. This gets us out of our self-funded garage biology phase to the first live birth of a human designer baby, and possibly a human clone within 5 years. Once we reach the first birth, everything changes and the world will never be the same again, much less the future of the human species. Attached doc shows 1.7 million a year for up to 5 years, plus 1 million for lab setup. approximately $9.5 million to fund 5 years, $6 million for 3 years. Next steps, I am happy to hop on another call, or I could take a trip to meet you in person. And if you have any thoughts about what I might be missing, or whether this is a reasonable estimate to get to the first live birth, then I would really appreciate any feedback you have. I am traveling in Lithuania for August 7 to the 14th, and I'll probably be unreachable during that time. And then the Google Doc version here is the same file. To which Jeffrey Epstein replies, no rush. This happened back in 2018. So even given a 5-year window, that is still 2023. So are we living in a human cloning / designer baby era? That could be entirely possible. But this shows that he was absolutely funding it. And there were a bunch of other emails implicating his Zorro Ranch, and that's probably where they were doing these things. The next email about this. Blank spoke of this going on at Zorro Ranch. She has said on record that Epstein offered her money to do this. Birth babies for black market use. So again, using women as essentially incubators at Zorro Ranch. Next email. Edward, this is sensitive, so it will be the first and last email depending on your discretion. You can choose to take it or trash it, but this comes from a person that has been there and seen it all as a former staff at the Zorro, so at Jeffrey Epstein's New Mexico Zorro Ranch. The material below was taken from Jeffrey Epstein home as my insurance in case of future litigation against Epstein. Sorry, no questions. What is damning about Jeffrey Epstein is yet to be written. Did you know somewhere in the hills outside of the Zorro, 2 foreign girls were buried on orders of Jeffrey and Madame G. Ghislaine. Both died by strangulation during rough fetish sex. Here are the video footage of Jeffrey Epstein. And then there are 7 links, and it's basically sex video with minor, threesome video, underage girl sex video, underage girl Matthew Melton video, underage girl fantasy video, and girl from Bay Area doing herself off attempt confession to Ghislaine. Please arrange for 1 Bitcoin by 6 p.m. EDT today. And then it happened in 2019, 11/22/2019, to the Bitcoin wallet address blank. And then it got forwarded from Eddie Aragon, Aragon, and it was forwarded from Eddie Aragon to who knows. So, very interesting. The next one, and this kind of goes along with the Jews run everything, and they're basically, in this instance, causing chaos around the globe to destroy markets and then snatch up assets super cheap. That's literally, this has been a claim, again, another conspiracy theory that seems to be given some validity here. And it is an email from Jeffrey Epstein to Peter Thiel. First email, Brexit, just the beginning. Peter Thiel responds, of what? Jeffrey Epstein, return to tribalism, counter to globalization, amazing new alliances. You and I both agreed 0 interest rates were too high. And as I said in your office, finding things on their way to collapse was much easier than finding the next bargain. So, seems like Brexit might have been planned all along, which is kind of insane. Then there was the confirmation of the officer who reported, and if you did not follow along with this, there was someone who claimed on 4chan to be an officer in the prison where Epstein was detained and eventually killed himself, quote unquote. And the post said, "Not saying anything after this, please do not try to dox me, but last night after 04:15, so 4:15 a.m., count, they took him medical in a wheelchair. Front cuffed, but not one triage nurse says they spoke to him. Next thing we know, a trip van shows up. We do not do releases on the weekends unless a judge orders it. Next thing we know, he's put in a single man cell and hangs himself. Here's the thing, the trip van did not sign in and we did not record the plate number, and a guy in a green dress military outfit was in the back of the van according to the tower guy who let him through the gate. You guys, I am shaking right now, but I think they switched him out." So basically, not only did he not kill himself, he also wasn't even there. That wasn't even him who didn't kill himself. He was basically taken out and allowed to probably escape to Israel, it seems like. Then there was an investigation into this, and basically it confirms who made this post, and then all the posts that he made that evening, it says the IPs that he posted it from, and then you tie that all together, and you have the officer that was on duty. Yes, he was actually there at the time. August 12th, on Friday, August 9th, 2019, approximately 1:50 p.m., you passed on to the oncoming staff member, Officer Davis, and presented shift staff SOS Shakir and Officer Joyner that inmate Reyes was going WAB and possibly may not return. Also, that inmate Epstein will be needing a cellmate upon arrival from his attorney visit. So once again, just proving that this is the officer that was on duty and who made the post. Then there was this little fun tidbit that just came out from the United States Attorney's Office, Southern District of New York. Friday, August 9th, 2019, for immediate release. So this is a press release that came out, and it was announcing the death of Jeffrey Epstein. The problem is, on August 9th, he was not dead yet. And by the way, if you know anything about this, whoever drafted this up, it probably had to go through an approval process. So it was probably teed up well before this. And yes, okay, crisis planning, there are really fast turnaround times. But once again, created August 9th. And it's just basically going through it. Manhattan U.S. Attorney Jeffrey S. Berman said earlier this morning, the Manhattan Correctional Center confirmed Jeffrey Epstein, who faced charges brought by this office of engaging in the sex trafficking of minors, had been found unresponsive in his cell and pronounced dead shortly thereafter. Today's events are disturbing, and we are deeply aware of their potential to present yet another hurdle to giving Epstein's many victims their day in court. To those brave young women who have already come forward, and to the many others who have yet to do so, let me reiterate that we remain committed to standing for you in our investigation of the conduct charged in the indictment, which included a conspiracy count, remains ongoing. We will continue to urge anyone who feels they may be a victim or have information related to the conduct in this case to please contact 1-800-CALL-FBI. Once again, why was this drafted? And what probably happened is they wrote it up on the 9th, and then they forgot because it was like auto-correct or something. And then they forgot to change the date when they actually released it on the 10th. So, can anyone please explain this to me? Was it not planned that he was going to end his life the next day? Why would this be ready, teed up and ready to go? Again, in the comments, if you have any sort of explanation for this, I would love to hear it. Leading to, is he still alive? And this photo on the left is basically drone footage. Someone was flying a drone over Little St. James, Jeffrey Epstein's island. And there was a man who is white, with white hair, who looks kind of similar, clean-shaven, to Jeffrey Epstein. And he's standing underneath with a security guard. And this was taken after his supposed suicide. So just very curious that a man that looks strikingly similar to Jeffrey Epstein was captured by a drone on his island. And then there's this fun one on the right, which is Jeffrey Epstein prior to being incarcerated, and then afterwards. This is recent that this photo was supposedly found. It has been scanned and said that it is not AI generated. And it's him with longer, shaggier hair. It was taken in Israel. And his beard, he had grown out a beard. He has sunglasses on. But if you were to look, this is, it's strikingly similar. The next conspiracy theory is of the Rothschilds running everything. This is an email from Jeffrey Epstein to Peter Thiel. As you probably know, I represent the Rothschilds. I was hoping to figure out a way for the bank that has $160 billion in management can do something in tech. To Peter Thiel. He's looking really good in these files. Best client list in the world. Prehistoric products. It can wait. Good luck in China. I will be in Europe again, the 20th to the 28th, then the island. So if you want to come around the world going west, come to the island, or if you would like to meet me in Saudi at the end of the month. So explicitly stating that he is working for/with the Rothschilds. In fact, there's a correspondence with the Rothschilds. The first email is from Jeffrey Epstein. Ukraine upheaval should provide many opportunities. Many. And then the response, hi Jeff, very long day sitting on bank board. NBERS but not satisfactory to me. And I am putting them under pressure to be more innovative about asset management funds while restructuring. I'm in a dinner with a client, fed up. I miss our talks and hope you're well. We'll be at home tomorrow night. Will you be free? And let's discuss Ukraine. And then, by the way, they also happened to short, although it wasn't for a ton of money, relatively. It was only like $1 million that it paid out or something like that. But they shorted the ruble the day before Russia invaded Ukraine. So, once again, just showing that they're all colluding together. And again, just because of the small dollar amount, again, I'm sure they scooped up a bunch of stuff on the back end of it and probably are still doing so today. But yes, there's a trend. They're working together. There are other emails as well. You can look them up. But obviously, again, he's directly stating that he represents the Rothschilds. And then also they're having friendly exchanges and they're discussing how to take advantage of upheaval in the Ukraine. Then there's tunnels and trap doors under Little St. James Island for rituals, escapes, and dumping of bodies, most likely. First email. Of the billing to date, $5,000 is for the ATV garage. I would not hold up payment of the $105,000 searching where the contractor basically had direction from the team that added tunnels and office below the main house. That's past, so past due. I recommend go forward payment, and the contract will help overcome the apprehension I sense on Gensler being comfortable with proceeding or communicate with me, as well as aiding in my negotiating. So there are at least basically over $100,000 in tunnels that have been built beneath, because he was talking about you still need to pay that. An email from Jeffrey Epstein. Danny, work this morning at main compound. Cell tower, coffee bench light, master light, terrace light. Peter steps first. Bryce, can you sketch out on a plan where you want the vehicles in the sheds and tunnels along with storage? Dearest Jeffrey, I am so sorry I missed your birthday. The good news is you are still younger than me, but do not look it. Just kidding. For a silver fox, you are in tip-top shape. How have you been? What's up with the Caribbean island? Staff still sleeping in the tunnels? Retrieved all the furniture out of the ocean? Did you take photos? Are you presently rebuilding? Jeffrey Epstein replies, I am in New York all week, things to do, or come see me. Then we have pictures of the trapdoor. This is the one that has garnered the most amount of attention because it goes down into the ocean. For what purposes, you can figure it out, but fairly disturbing, I think. Then, on the same day that an investigation was opened against Epstein for his trafficking, he ordered 6 55-gallon drums of sulfuric acid. And then, basically what's on here, on 12/6/2018, FBI New York initiated a trafficking case after the Southern District of New York contacted the FBI New York regarding several victims that had been abused by Jeffrey Epstein in the mid-2000s. Epstein was indicted on 7/2/19 and arrested on 7/6/19. On 8/10/19, FBI New York was notified that Epstein committed suicide in his jail cell, which, again, that seems questionable given what we have already covered. Ghislaine Maxwell was the first mentioned in this case. On 4/23/19, Maxwell was indicted, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so it just basically goes through everything that happened there. And then we have a wire transfer request form for 6 55-gallon drums of sulfuric acid, and then with everything else, fuel and transport, materials, and yeah, so basically all of the stuff needed. What are they using sulfuric acid for? Are they dissolving things? Why did it basically happen on 12/6 when this came down? I think, again, my viewpoint on it is they're probably trying to dissolve and get rid of some damning stuff on Little St. James Island. So, again, you can draw from that what you think it is, but given all the other things that I have covered, I think you could probably get to a pretty disturbing place on this. Then there is global depopulation via vaccines. First email. Please find attached a draft agenda for the meeting on preparing pandemics as requested. And this was in 2015. Let's discuss next steps. For example, how to officially involve the WHO and ICRC, i.e. co-branding. Best regards, and I hope we can pull this off. Next one, to Jeffrey Epstein. Cool, I'm excited. Also, I've been thinking a lot about the question that you have asked Bill Gates. How do we get rid of poor people as a whole? And I have an answer/comment regarding that for you. When can I call you today to discuss? And although there is no mention of vaccines in there, having to do with Bill Gates's inclusion in the entire pandemic and vaccine response to COVID. Again, it's all points on a graph. You can come to your own conclusion. Next email. Bill. So again, to Bill Gates. Larry and I have been working on deliverables for my time at BGC3 since you and I spoke. At Larry's request, I have spoken with Roger, Mark, Chris, Trevor, and Geoff, and next week, Bose/Jonah. Everyone has offered guidance, advice, thoughts, and ideas. As Larry works to put together any required documentation, we are trying to make sure that we make this time valuable for all. 2 areas where I am interested in terms of scope: domestic health and neurotech/brain science. I propose these as deliverables. Please let Larry and I know what you think. Deliverables. 1. Improve access and secure personal health data, affordability/access. 2. Consumer health expenditures in the USA. 3. Recommendations on neurotechnologies related to chronic/degenerative diseases. 4. Neurotechnologies as weapons in national intelligence and defense. 5. Recommendations and/or technical specifications for strain pandemic simulation. Happy to do whatever else is helpful or adapt along the way. Thanks for the opportunity. Hope this weekend is off to a good start. Again, that's to Bill Gates in 2017. And then obviously sending to Jeffrey Epstein. So it gets forwarded, and so they're all in the loop. The next one, which is quite frankly wild and was another one where I was completely not believing it, but I just had to include it in here because you get a real weird message from Jeffrey Epstein. Maritime law is coming, and the selling and owning of humans and human souls is over. There is factual evidence on the methods of operation for how law and legal proceedings will work next. I do encourage you to watch the video and understand how common laws are going away. So blank, quit fiddling your private part and call blank, and who has so much info that will incriminate you that when he deletes it, we'll find it on the quantum system that this great gentleman blank has made very clear in the video above. Hint, Biden is not your current president. The mask malfunctions on Biden are getting worse each day, on purpose. This will end badly for blank, who is posing with a effing clone on Facebook. The dude playing Biden ain't Biden. Real Biden was an evil, sick, angry man who abused children, including his own children. That's an actor with an effing mask. We've been over this 1,000 times. It's never going to change. Biden is shot 2019 firing squad. Pretty wild claims made here. So, and you can look up photos of it, but yes, there have been many claims that, once again, I kind of just was like, okay, whatever. This is completely insane. But there was an image of him with like a little thing on his ear when he was pulling the mask down. You can see the earlobe doesn't really align correctly. There's ones where there's weird wrinkles on his forehead where it's like a mask that's like bunched up. Strangely, there's one of him walking where it looks very robotic. And then also they broke down the dimensions and it was basically like gigantic. Like it was way bigger than Biden is, basically. And then there's a bunch of side-by-side photos of like Biden, you know, when he was younger, and then the current Biden during his presidency that looked absolutely nothing like him. And then the thing that makes this, you know, first of all, he's calling it out here. But then if you look at also just how infrequently they would have him do any speeches, I was on the side of it was just the dementia. Because again, I think even in the debates, it was like, oh my God, he's so old. What is going on here? But once again, I still am not completely on with this one, but it is very interesting that he's claiming this. And there are some weird photos and videos out there. The next one, and they taper off a little bit from here, but the lottery is rigged. And there was a message about Jeffrey Epstein, and it's all redacted in here. It looks like it was basically trying to build up the case against him. Some interesting facts that should be passed on to the investigative agents on the Epstein case. So it's probably FBI or something. I will also copy Director Mueller. Zorro Trust, belonging to Epstein, won an $80 million lottery ticket in New Mexico. 2. Zorro Ranch, belonging to Epstein, sits close to the U.S.-Mexican border, where most trafficked children are routed prior to being dispersed to the East Coast. 3. Several high-ranking officials and friends of Epstein have confirmed that he has relations with trafficked underage minors. 4. Both Ghislaine Maxwell in New York and Blank were served last week, 2 key witnesses on Epstein's camp. Thank you, Conchita. And then, yeah, for what it's worth. So it's probably forwarded on to someone else. So, again, the interesting part, I mean, there's a lot of interesting stuff here, right? But calling out that, yes, the lottery, I would probably not, you know, I'm not sure that it's the most straight-laced thing out there. Should you be playing it? Again, I'll leave that to your discretion. And then going hand in hand with that, there was the claim that the NFL was rigged. So to Jeffrey Epstein, hi Jeffrey, how are you? Where are you? When do you come back to town? Here's a photo of our Sophia. Strange. You remember, i.e. soon Princess Sophia. The whole Swedish press is looking for her, while she's in Africa. Strange. Take care, Saints will win. This was sent Sunday, February 7th, 2010. And this was before the game, like if you look at the time, right, timestamp, 13/27/53. So the 2009 NFL season played on February 7th, 2010, where the New Orleans Saints defeated the Indianapolis Colts 31-17. So if someone wanted to tip him off, and it's not saying that Jeffrey Epstein controls it, but the email was sent to him and told him that the Saints will win before they did. Disclaimers, this could just be someone saying, hey, okay, you know, this is what I think will happen, or it could be a betting tip. So if he went in and dropped a ton of money on the Saints, well, there you go. Again, I'm not claiming it one way or another, but very interesting, and given the context of all the rest of the files, there you go. And then finally, one of the ones that was just, again, super strange, there is a claim going around that Mamdani's mother, so Zohran Mamdani, the new mayor of New York, Mamdani's mother is being connected to Epstein, and Zohran may be his child. So, there is a photo of Zohran's mom Zohran as a baby and Jeffrey Epstein hanging out on the beach together. And then there's an email to Jeffrey Epstein, just left Ghislaine's townhouse after a party for film. Bill Clinton and Jeff Bezos were there, and then a bunch of other people, his mom included in that group as well. And the most interesting thing is there's actual photographic proof of it with Zohran, who is circled here, with his mom, Jeffrey, Ghislaine, and this is probably a photo that was attached in here, Bill Clinton, Bill Gates, and Jeff Bezos. Again, make of it what you will. Again, the claims that he's the father, I'm not 100% certain on, but it is just very interesting that there are multiple photos, and you can find more than this as well, but I just wanted to include a few here, where, yeah, his mom obviously was around Jeffrey Epstein, to say the least. And then very interesting that Jeffrey's standing behind him here, and behind here, and just interesting placement. But that will about do it for me. I had to just, the more I see of this stuff coming out, it is just absolutely wild. And again, it all started with the Pizzagate thing, where I was looking at it and I go, wow, some people are owed some apologies, because, and it's just one after another, because there are always these things that you would hear, but then you'd be like, that's insane. There's no way that's true. But look at where we find ourselves now. Anyway, if you like the video, give it a thumbs up. And if you have made it this far, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.